Hello everybody, it's June 23rd, 2018, and it's time for another update of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, of DisneyChris.com, and of some of my other adventures on the World Wide Web. I was supposed to release the episode, technically, yesterday, but I was in the middle of a project that had sort of a deadline to get it done, and so I put off the podcast until today. But the good news is that I did get my project done that I was working on time, so I'm going to mention to you what that was in a minute. First of all, I just wanted to say that today is a very special anniversary for the Walt Disney Company. Today is the 55th anniversary of the Enchanted Tiki Room, which was the very first fully audio animatronic show, even though audio animatronics, that term was created prior to the Tiki Room. The Tiki Room is really the first time it was fully implemented. So it's not only really the official 55th anniversary of the Tiki Room, but it's the unofficial, at least in my mind, anniversary of audio animatronics. So in honor of the 55th anniversary, the song of the day, and for those who don't know, every day on my website, DisneyChris.com, I post a song of the day, and it's usually random, but at certain times a year I try to theme it to different things that are going on the calendar, or if there's a specific anniversary related to Disney, I will feature a song that has to do with whatever anniversary it is. Since today is the anniversary of the Tiki Room, I'm featuring a song. If you scroll down about 2/3 of the way down on the page, on my home page, you'll find the song of the day, and you can play it. I'm not going to play it right now. You can go to my website and listen to it if you'd like to. And it's a song that was featured in the Tiki Room. Let's All Sing Like the Birdies Sing, recorded in 1969. This is actually by the Mellow Men Quartet, including Thurl Ravenscroft, so it's kind of a fun version of that song. You might want to check that out. If you click this link down here, it'll bring you to this page, and this will show you every song that I've featured so far this month. So you can go back and listen to all the songs. So for the first 10 days of June, I featured a Donald Duck song, because Donald Duck's birthday is on June 9th, so I did a 10-day salute to Donald. Then starting on June 11th, I did a 10-day salute to Disney Dads in honor of Father's Day. So that ended on June 20th, and now I'm just kind of doing random Disney songs for the remainder of the month. Today's song is themed because it's the Tiki Room's anniversary, but other than that, the songs are going to be random, with one other exception, which I'm going to show you right now. The other exception would be Mickey Mondays. From now until the end of 2018, every Monday will be a song themed, dedicated to, about Mickey Mouse. I'm calling it Mickey Mondays. So every Monday, beginning this Monday, the 25th of June, will be a Mickey Mouse song. And in the month of November, I'm going to do an entire month of Mickey Mouse. It's going to be a Mickey month. And the reason for that is his actual birthday is in the month of November. And the reason I'm making such a big deal about Mickey Mouse's birthday is because this is actually the 90th anniversary of Mickey Mouse. So it's kind of a milestone. And I wanted to dedicate part of my site to my favorite Disney character. And so that's starting this Monday. Look for that on the Song of the Day. So the project that I was working on yesterday and sort of had a deadline to meet was my podcast. For those who don't know, I have a bi-weekly podcast called the Jiminy Crickets Podcast. And my most recent episode, we had to split it in half because we had so much to say about this that if I didn't split it in half, we'd have a 4-hour podcast. So this is only part one of a 2-part episode. The second half is going to be coming out about probably this Wednesday. So only a few days separating the two, giving everybody a chance to listen to the first half, and then I'm going to post the second half, which I'm going to finish editing today. I'll have it ready to go for Wednesday. So this is just sort of a celebration of the Enchanted Tiki Room. That's why I needed to get it out by today, because today's the anniversary. And we sort of just go over the history, the origins, and all the different people involved in the Tiki Room. And I'm adding lots of music. I like to include lots of music and audio samples of what we talk about in my podcast. So if you haven't checked out my podcast, please do. We have a small audience compared to other podcasts. I'd like to see it grow, and we put a lot of work into it. I put a lot of work into how I edit it. I include lots of music. I'm very particular about the audio quality. I spend a lot of time and care working on it, and I think you'll find that it's one of the best Disney podcasts, if I do say so myself, that's out there. So please check it out. And also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. You can find it on iTunes, in addition to this website, which is called jcricketpodcast.blogspot.com, which is, you can find all of our past shows on there. But you can also find them on iTunes and Stitcher. And on iTunes, if you leave us a 5-star review, if you're so inclined, it'll help get the word out about our show. Because when you leave a 5-star review, it bumps up your podcast in the algorithm for recommendations. So if somebody's looking for a Disney podcast and it has enough 5-star reviews, it would be one of the first suggestions that would pop up. So the reviews kind of dictate how your show gets exposure. So it's kind of important to get 5-star reviews on iTunes. It gets the word out about us. So now that I took care of my housekeeping here, let's talk about the actual Magical Audio Tour, which is probably what you're all here for. So, I'm actually going to first discuss Chapter 1 of the audio tour, because I made some changes. I sort of took a day off of editing audio for the Magical Tour, and went through and kind of came up with a game plan for the rest of 2018 as far as what I need to get done and what I need to edit. And I decided to kind of prioritize everything that I've marked as a coming soon track. For example, this one here, Griffith Park Carousel, coming soon. So I made a list of everything that I have marked coming soon, and then any chapters that have coming soon on them, I went through and looked at what I want to redo. There's several tracks that I want to revisit, re-edit, change, make better, improve. And so any chapter that has coming soons on it, I also went through and wrote down anything I want to redo. For example, one thing I want to redo is this track down here, number 78, because this is a medley of non-Disney songs that are about Disneyland over the years, and I've come across a few new ones that I didn't include in this original medley, so that's an example of why I would want to redo a track, because I have more audio to add to this medley now. There's other reasons I would want to redo something, but that's one of the reasons. That happens quite often. So this is going to eventually get redone. That's an example. So I actually added 2 new coming soon slots to this chapter since you last were updated on this chapter. One of them is the Pixar Fest area music. Right now Disneyland is doing an event called Pixar Fest, and a promotional event that's lasting all summer. And for this occasion, they created a brand new area background music loop for the Esplanade, the area that's between California Adventure and the original Disneyland park. They're playing a brand new loop of music that features music from Pixar films. So I want to include that on this chapter. For those who don't know, this is a chapter all about the entrance of Disneyland and basically any kind of background stuff or orientational stuff about Disneyland is what this first chapter of the collection is about. So this is something new that just came up, so I'm going to be adding that. And then the other thing I added since my last update, I don't even remember what it is. I have to scroll up and find it to refresh my memory. I know there was one other thing I added. Maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But anyway, as you can see, I have a lot of new coming soons that I recently added to this page. So not only am I going to be doing the coming soons, for lack of a better turn of phrase to describe what that is, I'm also going to be redoing some of the existing tracks. So basically my goal, my objective, is to get all the chapters completed that have anything that is marked as coming soon on said chapters. So there's several of them that have coming soon slots on them. And so not only am I going to get those done, but anything else on the site that I want to redo, because it's something that I have reasons to change, update, and improve. So that's chapter 1. So also chapter 2, Town Square. Chapter 4, Central Plaza. Chapter 6, Adventureland. Chapter, well, we know about Disneyland Bandstand because that's the chapter I'm currently working on, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Christmas in Disneyland has coming soon on it. And The Wonderful World of Disney, Chapter 27, the final chapter. I'm going to show you this chapter because I made some changes to this. I already had some things marked as coming soon on this chapter, but I knew, and I have known, that I have some materials that I didn't have previous to now, so I wanted to create, you know, a holding place for this new material, this new audio that I have to add to this chapter. This chapter covers Disneyland themed television shows. Anything centered around the park of Disneyland that was a television show is represented on this page, and this is everything after Walt Disney passed away. This is kind of a two-part chapter. The first part covers Walt Disney's era of television, and this chapter represents everything after Walt. And I sort of just go up to the 90s because it's more of a nostalgia thing. If you know, anything past that is not quite as nostalgic. So this really just kind of encompasses everything up to the 90s. So there's a television special which I did not have the audio for until now, called One Man's Dream. And this was a 1981 television special with lots of original music. And I finally have obtained the full special. So now I'm able to include all of the songs from the special. And this is why I added this section here. All of it's coming soon with one exception. I did have one song from this special on my site. But now I have all the songs, and I will be adding them in the near future. And the one song I already have, which you can still listen to right now, I posted it in the interim, but I am going to be redoing it and improving the sound quality. Unfortunately, the video quality of the special is not the best. I mean, it's watchable, but it's blurry. It's kind of an old VHS recording. But the audio quality is perfectly fine. So for my purposes, you know, there's no issues with the audio quality, so that'll be good. But part of the problem with that is that these images that you're looking at right now, they're screenshots, and some of them are a little blurry because there's really not any screenshots of these things or images of this special on the internet that I could find, so I had to take screenshots from the video that I have, and I did my very best. I tried to clean them up as best I could, but they're a little blurry, so that's the best I can do for now. Hopefully in the future I'll find a better quality images and replace them. This, my site is a growing, changing thing, and whenever I find something better, I replace it. So for now, this will have to do. Also, all the work I've been doing on the Big Bands at Disneyland TV special, I decided to create a mix that includes some of the audio from that TV series from the Disney Channel. So I added this coming soon slot as well to this page. And then the other coming soon slot I added was this Disneyland Summer Vacation Party, which was a TV special from 1986, which had a lot of pop music from that time period. I didn't have the full special before, but now I do. So I'm going to create a medley of all the music from this special for this track here, which I sort of have already done because I've included that on the Disneyland After Dark. So this is just going to kind of be a reconfiguration of what I've already edited. So this will actually be easy, as will the Big Bands at Disneyland, because I'm just kind of repackaging stuff I've already edited, so, or will be editing for another chapter, so it won't be that difficult to add those. So that's kind of, I added that to this chapter. So again, not only am I going to be doing the coming soon, but anything else that I want to redo for any chapter that has coming soon. So that's my next priority. And I wrote everything down, and I actually have 102 songs that fit that category. They're either coming soon or they're on a chapter that has coming soon. So it's like, once I get through with that 102, then I will move on to new things that I want to work on. Basically every chapter, I have so much to add to so many chapters that I haven't even looked at in years. I mean, a good example of that would be something like the original Tomorrowland chapter of the 50s. I mean, I have 4 chapters. Is it 4 or 3? 4. I have 4 Tomorrowland chapters, and they're not long chapters compared to, I mean, I have chapters that go over 100 tracks, but these Tomorrowland chapters are short. They only have like 20 to 25 tracks, and you might be wondering, why'd you split them up into 4 chapters? Well, the reason I did that is because I know I have so much more to add, and at some point they are going to have like 100 tracks on each of these chapters. So any chapters you see that are really short, and you're wondering why I have chapters that have 100 tracks and then why I divided chapters that only have 25 tracks, that's the reason. I have so much to add to these chapters, and they will get a lot longer in the future. The future of Tomorrowland. So anyway, let's talk about, well, let me talk about Disneyland After, the 2 chapters I've been working on for over a year, and I keep going back and forth on, Disneyland After Dark and Disneyland Bandstand. These 2 chapters used to be, if you remember, 1 chapter, and I split them up because over time I had so much audio that it would have had over 200 tracks on one page, and that just makes the page difficult to upload, and it's just too much to have on a single chapter. I try to keep it around 100. Sometimes I have to go a little bit over 100, but if I go too much over that, I like to split it up into 2 chapters, and that's what happened with Disneyland After Dark. So I split it up so that it's Disneyland After Dark and then Disneyland Bandstand. It's 2 separate chapters. So the only thing that I changed since my last update on this, because this chapter is technically done, but I keep having more and more to add after it's been done. And the only two things I changed since my last update was this track here, Tomorrowland Terrace. It was on the site already, but I've added additional musical groups. So I added one song from each of those new groups and, you know, extended the track. It used to be 45 minutes long, now it's about 20 minutes longer with the new groups. So it's basically the same as it was, but I added, like, I think 6 new bands to this mix. The other thing I added was this Tomorrowland Terrace Summer 2017. This is identical to a track that's also on Disneyland Bandstand. I decided I'd like to also include it on this chapter. So this is nothing new. It's only new to this chapter. It's the exact same thing that has been on my Bandstand chapter for several months now. Let's look at the Bandstand chapter. See where we're at with that. I have made some progress on this chapter since my last update, and so I have a few things to let you know about. Right now I only have 12 tracks left to edit, and this chapter will be completed. The light is definitely visible at the end of the tunnel, finally. I'd like to have this done by the end of July. You're saying 12 tracks? Why would it take that long? Each of these tracks is like over an hour long, so it takes a long time to edit them, and some of them are really difficult edits. Basically, I only have one section left to do, and then one song from another section, and everything else is done. And I've mentioned this many times before, but if you didn't see my previous videos, this section here, Big Bands at Disneyland, this is like every episode of this series gets a track. There were 12 episodes, so I have 11 left to edit. And these are difficult because these are all taken from a live performance that was taped at Disneyland, so there's lots of background noise and people shouting and different things I don't want to be included when it's okay when you're watching a video of it, but when it's an audio only experience, that stuff is very distracting. So I like to get rid of that, clean it up, make it as good as possible, and that takes a lot of time. So these are really slow and difficult to do the final editing on, and that's why I've been putting this off as the last thing to do on this chapter. I've already done one of them. This is just an introduction, which has been on the site for about a year, and then I finished this one, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, but I have all of these 11 left to go. So that's sort of my next task, is to get that done. And I did say I had 12 tracks left to do, so the other track to make it 12 would be this number 89, Grad Night Party, which is one song from each of the most famous bands that performed at Disneyland during Grad Night in the 1990s. And they sort of started having big name entertainment in the mid-90s, so this really only goes up to about 94, because after that they kind of phased that out. So this really covers a 4-year period. It's about an hour and a half long. I've already edited the first 4 songs. I think I have about 20 left to go. So this is sort of, as soon as I see, right now I'm working on my podcast. I have a lot of deadlines to meet and some other little projects I need to get done before I can go back to working on this audio tour stuff. As soon as I get that done, this Grad Night Party is my first priority, and then the next priority is to get these 11 other Big Band at Disneyland tracks done, and once those are done, the chapter will be done. Then I can go back to chapter 1 and start doing all that coming soon stuff that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. So that's sort of my game plan. I'm going to go through chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 4, chapter 6, and chapter 27. Then I'm going to backtrack and do chapter 22, which is Holiday. I would like to have all that done by Christmas time, by December, and then work on the Holiday chapter. And my goal, and I don't know if I'll meet this goal, but my goal is to have all that coming soon stuff done in the next 6 months, and And so I'll be able to move on to brand new stuff, brand new chapters to work on for 2019. We'll see what happens. That's my goal, but it's probably not going to happen, but that's kind of my ultimate, what I would like to see happen. So this is the section that I mostly worked on since my last update. And somebody on Twitter tweeted me and said, how come you didn't include the Jakes in your Tomorrowland Terrace section? I said, the Jakes? Who are the Jakes? Well, apparently they were kind of a big deal at the Tomorrowland Terrace about 15 years ago. They were regulars, and I didn't know about them. So I added yet another new track to this section. And then she also let me know about another performer named Steve Rushton. He did a lot of music for like the Wizards of Waverly Place and different Disney Channel projects. But apparently for one full summer, he was a regular also at the Tomorrowland Terrace. So I included some of his music. So those two got added since my last update. Plus I had several other tracks I needed to complete. They're all marked as new. So I'll go through those really quickly. I finally got these two done, the Bolts and Thomasina. And then I got the Soto Band done, Steve Rushton, Allie and AJ, and the Aquabats, and like I mentioned, the Jakes. So Tomorrowland Terrace finally is done. This whole section is done. I felt a great sense of accomplishment and relief because this section, the music is good, don't get me wrong, and if you're into modern music, you would love all this. It's very good as far as modern type pop music. It's right up your alley if that's your go-to genre for music. You'll love all this. But that's not my go-to genre. So it wasn't as much of a pleasure to edit this stuff as it would be for other things. So it was kind of like I sort of had to force myself to do this part. I'm not a big pop music fan of like contemporary pop. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just not my favorite kind of music that I enjoy listening to that much. I mean, I will say some of this was enjoyable. I enjoyed editing the Aquabats because they're sort of a kind of a kitschy, funny, goofy type band. They're not quite really pop music. They're a little more of a like a sort of a retro type thing. And I mean, I enjoyed editing stuff like Hard Day's Night because that's like the Beatles. I love the Beatles. And instant replays like Disco, and I like Disco. And Scott Bruce is Elvis impersonator, so I enjoyed that because I like that type of music. I mean, I like old music, as you probably guessed. I like any kind of music before the 80s is what I'm into. I love 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, ragtime. That's what I'm into. So, anyway, I just have 12 tracks to go, and then I will be done with this chapter and ready to move on to all my coming soons. And then I'll do all the ones that are not Christmas related. And once those are done, hopefully by the beginning of December, then I can move to back to my Christmas chapter and get that chapter done. So then I will have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'll have 10 chapters done by the end of the year if I meet my goal, which leaves me with 17 chapters still to work on. So that's where I'm at right now. If you've been looking at my site for a while and saying, you know, this has been marked coming soon for, 2 years, how long is soon? I'm going to try to get all that stuff done. One of the things is my chapter 2. I have a whole section for the Disneyland Railroad, and several people are very anxious for me to get that section done, because what it is I have the narration for several different versions of the Disneyland Railroad. Here's the section right here, Disneyland Railroad Grand Circle Tours. I have all these different versions, and people are dying to hear this stuff. And this has been marked coming soon for, I think, about 2 years now, maybe even longer than that. So this is, one of the things I really want to get done. This is a lot of hard work to edit these, but, I need to get it done, because it's been marked coming soon forever. So I'm also going to redo this 2015 version as well. Sort of have a problem with, the main problem is I don't like the sound effects of the train. They're not authentic. I kind of tried to find close enough stuff to represent the whistles and bells and toots and whatnot, but I'd like to find more authentic sounding sound effects for that. So I'm probably going to redo this one that's already done as well. So that's an update. I also wanted to mention one last thing. If you go to this audio editor's blog page on my site, you'll find every video vlog that I've created. You can watch it directly on here. I have, I embedded the videos, so you can go back, and it takes a second to load because there's lots of videos on this page. But here they come. So you can click them on and watch each video from here if it's more convenient for you than going to my website, to my YouTube channel. They're all posted here. Again, audio editor's blog. So Melanie was writing the liner notes, or the show notes, I should say, for all of my episodes. It was requested when I started doing the videos that I also include notes, so I looked for someone to do the notes for me, and Melanie was doing a fantastic job for, I think, maybe about a year now. She's been doing it, maybe a little less than that, but she's not able to do it anymore, so I had to find someone new to do the notes. And this is why the past 2 shows have not had any notes, because Melanie had to move on to other priorities. So I actually have found someone new to do the notes, and I asked that he just start with this podcast. He's currently at Walt Disney World. He'll be back, I think, tomorrow, so he'll be doing the notes for this episode. And he said that he wanted to do the notes for I'm not going to hold him to it, so he may or may not do notes for the 2 episodes that Melanie missed. That's up to him. There's no pressure on that. That's totally up to him. So you might see notes for these past 2 shows, or you may not, but you'll definitely see notes for the one you're watching right now within a few days, because he's on vacation, and he will be back soon, and when he gets back, he will do the notes. And Melanie did a fantastic job, and he's going to use her work as sort of a guide on, because she did it absolutely perfectly. I couldn't have asked for anything better than what she did. She did it so well, and so she's a great teacher for my new person that's going to be doing the notes. He'll look at what she did, and he'll put it, I'm sure he'll put his own spin on it, but it's a good guide, kicking off point. So look for his show notes in the next few days. So I guess the next time I'll see you, I think the 4th of July will have come and gone. So happy 4th of July to all my United States of America friends. I know I have a few friends that are not from this country, so birthday wishes to other people, I guess. May the celebration rub off on the rest of the world. for Independence Day. And I hope everybody is enjoying the weather. The summertime weather is here. Get out, enjoy the sun, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.